Solar activity is predicted to fall 60% in the 2030s to a mini ice age levels, sun driven by double dynamo. We've had mini ice ages in the past, with the recent one being around 1860s. We have photographs of this. For example, this one here of the Thames River in London. You can even see people standing on it in groups over the Thames River without having fear of it cracking. You can imagine how deeply thick that ice, the river ice was, the covering of the river. You even have a horse-drawn carriage on it. That's how thick the ice was. Amazing. Now, solar activity predicted to fall 60% in a little while. We're in solar minimum now. That's expected to, of course, take its cycle, with solar cycles every 11 years. But this is astonishing. The Royal Astronomical Society, and I'll leave links below for you for this, a new model of the sun's solar cycle is producing unprecedented, accurate predictions of irregularities with the sun's 11-year heartbeat. The model draws on dynamo effects in two layers of the sun. One is close to the surface and one deep within its convection zone. Predictions from the model suggest that solar activity will fall by 60%. This is astonishing. Falling by 60% in the 2020s to conditions last seen during the mini ice age that began in 1645. Results will be presented where they were presented, because this was an article dated 2015, by Professor Valentina Zarkova at the National Astronomy meeting in Lundudno. It is 172 years since the scientists first spotted the sun's activity varies over a cycle lasting about 10 to 12 years. But every cycle is a little different, and none of the models of causes to date have fully explained fluctuations. Many solar physicists have put the cause of the solar cycle down to a dynamo caused by convecting fluid deep within the sun. Now Zarkova and her colleagues have found that adding a second dynamo close to the surface completes the picture with surprising accuracy. She says, "We found magnetic waves, components appearing in pairs, originating in two different layers in the sun's interior. They both have a frequency of approximately 11 years. Although this frequency is slightly different, and they are offset in time. Over the cycle, the waves fluctuate between the northern and southern hemispheres of the sun. Combining both waves together and comparing to real data for the current solar cycle, we found that our predictions showed an accuracy of 97%, Zarkova said. Zarkova and her colleagues derived their model using a technique called principal component analysis of the magnetic field observations from the Wilcox Solar Observatory in California. They examined 3 solar cycles worth of magnetic field activity. They were covering the periods from 1976 to 2008. In addition, they compared their predictions to average sunspot numbers, another strong marker of solar activity. All the predictions and observations were closely matched. Looking ahead to the next solar cycles, the model predicts that the pair of waves become increasingly offset during cycle 25, which peaks in 2022. We're in cycle 25 now. During cycle 26, which covers a decade from 2030 to 2040, the two halves will become exactly out of sync, and this will cause a significant reduction in solar activity. This is astonishing. In cycle 26, the two waves exactly mirror each other, peaking at the same time but in opposite hemispheres of the sun. Their interaction will be disruptive, or they will nearly cancel each other out. We predict that this will lead to the properties of a Maunder minimum, Zarkova said. Effectively, when the waves are approximately in phase, they can show strong interaction or resonance, and we have strong solar activity. When they are out of phase, we have solar minimums. When there is full phase separation, we have the conditions last seen during the modern minimum 370 years ago. God forbid that will cause famine and tremendous cold. Unbelievable. So the mini ice age, we know, will hit Earth in 2030s, the first such event to occur since the early 1700s. The new mathematical models of solar system cycle developed by Northumbria University, another one, suggest solar activity will see a significant drop, causing temperatures on Earth to plummet. The last mini ice age occurred between 1645 and 1715, causing temperatures in northern Europe to fall dramatically, with the London's Thames River freezing over during winters and sea ice extending for miles around the UK. The prolonged cold snap, known as the Maunder minimum, has been linked to a reduction in the number of sunspots as observed by scientists at the time. Such periods were thought to be driven by convecting waves of fluids deep within the sun, but new research suggests the second force of the wave is at play. Two waves operating at different layers in the sun's interior, now believed to drive the solar activity, and when these waves are desynchronized, temperatures on Earth fall. Both waves work on 11-year cycles and fluctuate between the northern and southern hemispheres of the sun. When the waves stay in phase, we see high levels of solar activity such as sunspots, and when out of phase, we see low activity. Such events are in no way linked to climate change, with fluctuations in solar activity having a far smaller impact than global warming. So Zarkova, the professor of Northumbria University who led the research, said, comparing predictions to real data about current solar activity showed an accuracy of 97%, and the findings were presented at the National Astronomy meeting in Wales. To test their theory, she used solar activity data, as we said, 1976 to 2008. And the cycle coming up in cycle 26, covering period 2030 to 40, these two waves will exactly be out of sync, causing a significant reduction in solar activity. Cycle 26, the two waves exactly mirroring each other, peaking but in opposite hemispheres of the sun. The interaction will just be disruptive and they will nearly cancel each other out. And she predicts that this will lead to the properties of the Maunder minimum. If she is correct, the prediction would mean a return of freezing temperatures last seen 370 years ago. And during that period, the River Thames froze to such an extent that regular frost fairs were held during the winter, with market stalls and ice skating a common sight on the river. During the winter of 1683 to 84, the river was frozen solid for 2 months at a thickness of 28 centimeters, according to the historical records. Solid ice was also reported extending for miles off the coast of England, France, Belgium, and the Netherlands. So that's what we have to look forward to, it appears. They know what they're saying. They've studied this. Amazing. I'll leave links below for you for this. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.